pray it away. Don't pray it away. Don't pray the problem away. You need this problem. God might just be some problems come up into our lives at a moment where we have discovered that there's something that I'm missing, or there's something that I need to develop in my life. So some problems show up because God is trying to tell you that this is an area that you need to work on. And if you pray away that problem, you'll never develop the skill that you need for that. You'll never be able to move forward. So don't pray away the problem. Don't pray away the problem. Instead, pray that God helps you develop the character or the characteristics that you need to get through it. There are some problems that enter into our lives that God knows that if I take this out of their lives, it's gonna hurt them, and they're gonna be the ones who will be greatly impacted by the removal of this problem. There are some problems that enter our lives that God allows to remain in our lives because He knows that if we are capable of growing through this problem, if we are capable of growing with this plant and learning from our experience with this weed, that's what we need. Like, we develop things within us that we need for the next season. In the season that we're in right now, in the season where God has planted us in, the season where we are using what God has planted within us, He knows that there are things that you still need to develop. So when the enemy brings in weeds into your life, He will let them grow with you so that you develop what it is that you need for the next season, for the harvest season. See the good within the problem. See look at the problem and think to yourself, okay, if I go through this problem, what am I gaining, or what is God trying to do through this problem? Don't just pray away your problems. Not all problems are there to just for the fun, but there's always a purpose behind it. He will take what the enemy meant for evil and He will turn it for your good. He will use it in your favor. He will take those weeds that the enemy has planted into your life and use them in your favor and use them for good. He will use what the enemy thought was the end of you to replant you, grow you, so that a new you comes out of this. First one, like I just mentioned, is spending time with God. It's setting a certain time for you to spend with God each and every day, and be consistent with it. Don't change it, or don't compromise it because you need to study, or things come up and you start to postpone your time with God. Don't do that. When you do something over and over and over and over, it becomes a habit. It starts to become a lifestyle. So if you are gonna have prayer time today, prayer time tomorrow, and then you're gonna skip Saturday, skip Sunday, skip Monday, it's gonna be very hard for you to get back at it on Tuesday. So be consistent with your prayer time with God. Trusting in God is another way that you can alleviate stress and worry and all of that. I know that most of us, we're stressed about getting everything right, passing, getting good grades, because we need to get good grades, right? But it's not gonna help you if you're stressed. So when you trust in God, that stress just disappears. It disappears. Spending time with God is very important. It's very important because the more time I give Him, the more He works in my favor. It's like if I meet someone, we have a conversation, we talk, we spend time with one another, we get to know one another. In time, they will be willing to do something that I asked them to do. But if I just walk up to a random stranger and I say, hey, please do this for me, do you really think he's gonna do something for me? He doesn't know me, he's not obligated to, he's not, there's no point, but he doesn't need to. So it's very important. Watch your mouth as well when it comes to your studies and anything in life. Watch your mouth, because what comes out of here, dangerous. Use it wisely. If you tell yourself you write your test, it's like, man, I failed. Guess what, love? You failed. Like, legit. I know there's this thing. Okay, no, it's not important. Like, change your attitude, guys. And yeah, it's very important that if you have already entered into this activity, you've already done this in terms of you and your partner, it's important that you guys come to God. You can ask God for forgiveness for what it is what you guys have done, and y'all need to pray against, like, y'all need to sever ties, because it's very, if you're not gonna cut the ties that you have just formed and created, it's gonna be very detrimental to you. It's gonna take a physical toll on you, an emotional toll, a psychological toll, spiritual toll on you, to the point where you feel attached to this individual, or you struggle to form attachments to other people, not attachments, but you struggle to connect with other people. It could just be because of this tie that you have tied with someone else, and whoever he or she was carrying with them at the time. Yeah. Don't let anyone shame you. Don't let anyone shame you for falling into some form of sin. If, like, other people know it and they know you're Christians and they know that you're fallen, don't feel ashamed. Okay, what other people think about you is not the point. It doesn't matter. What matters is what God thinks about you, and if you've gone to God and you've asked for forgiveness and He's forgiven you, then all is well. All is well. What other people say is not important anymore. It never was, but yeah, it's not important.